Ymir also created Hymnir and gave him power over the ice. He created so many Jotnar that they became impossible to count, and in the end the world was full of fire and ice. Ymir's son Bolthorn had a daughter named Besla, who he cared for, and the cow also called Anumbla. This cow lived off stones. On the first day that Umbla licked a certain rock, a head came out. On the second day that Umbla licked the rock again, the upper body came free. And on the third day, Umbla licked the same rock. The legs were free too. The man who came from the stone was named Bur. He married Besla, and they had 3 sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve. We call them the sons of Bur. Since the ground was frozen everywhere except for those places where Surt's fire came out, no one except Hymnir's skin and Surt's skin was happy in that world. The sons of Bur realized that something had to be done, so they decided to kill Ymnir, who was the source of all this chaos. When they found Ymnir, they stabbed him with their big long spears. His blood gushed out and over the world and became the ocean, drowning many of the Jotnars. Then the sons of Bur took Ymnir's skull and made the blue heaven from it. They took molten spark from Surt's fire and placed them on the inside of Ymir's skull. These became the stars at night. Finally, the sons of Bur found 2 elves and gave them 2 of Surt's greater sparks so that they could ride across the sky in their chariots and light up the sky. This is how the sons of Bur created night and day. The sons of Bur decided to call the first part of the day morning and the next part midday. They called the third part noon and the fourth part evening. The last part was called night. The sons of Bur set the course of the sun and the moon and put the god Mundilfari in charge of the continuing time. This is how they created the years. The sons of Bur gathered on the eternal plains. It evolved to build their houses and templates. They created workshops for iron and gold. They walked across the world and sowed plants and trees, spruce, pine, birch, beech, ash, and oak. When the sun shone on the ground, the green plants grew tall, and lush. The mightiest of these plants was Yggdrasil, which means the measuring tree. It stood evergreen and at the center of the world with a trunk that shone white as crystal, and all the universe revolved around it. From its leaves fell the morning dew that landed in the lush valleys. At its top, a mighty eagle was perched, and when he flapped his wings, he sent winds across our world. Yggdrasil roots reach deep into the soil, and below them, the serpent Nidhogg. At the foot of the tree, in a place called Urd's Well, the goddess of fate met. These goddesses were called Norns, and there were 3 of them, past, present, and future. The Norns decided the fate of the human and wrote their decisions in their magical symbols called runes. The sons of Bur gave dwellings to the dwarves and the elves into the ground. These underground lands were called Nidavellir. Dwarves and elves were given a shape that resembled humans. dwarves and be their friend. Dwarves and elves live all around us in the rocks and the trees and the soil under our feet. There were so many dwarves and elves that no one could remember all their names, but some of them were called New Moon, Moonwane, North and South, and East and West, Dollar, Trembler, Grumbler, Friend, Meadwolf, Wand Elf, Spurt, Wise and Bright. There was also Craftsman's, Waster, Mudplane, Swift Warrior, Oak Shield, Frosty, and Artisan. They could help the gods when they needed be, and that's exactly what they did for the goddess Sif. Sif had long, golden locks that were so beautiful, and the trickster god Loki wanted them all for himself, so greedy he is. So one day, while Sif slept, Loki cut off all of her hair. When Sif woke up and he went to the river to bathe, she realized that she no longer had any of those beautiful locks. She was so furious, she quickly discovered that it was Loki who had stolen it. If you want